Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty in the Frizz. My name is Cara. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me for another Mimosas and makeup. I feel like my makeup and it's a watermelon margarita. Sorry, I was so happy. My mic fell off. My watermelon margarita and my makeup all go together. So I'll tell you about that in a second. We are going to talk about all the eyeshadow palettes that I have gotten in 2023, whether they were purchased by myself or gifted. If that sounds good to you, keep on watching this video. Let me know what you think. And if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to hang out with someone that feels the same way, definitely consider joining the community. I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. So how are you all? When you're watching this today, August turns 8. So we are going to get air and then coming back here for pizza and cupcakes. We're not having a party because I am going to be embarking on the bearded dragon journey at some point very soon. Let's talk about this makeup, y'all, because it is very watermelon-esque. And I was thinking cherry-esque at first, but then I'll tell you about my drink. I'm wearing the Dior Rosy Glow Cherry Blush. Is that what it's called? Hold on. Oh, yeah, it is called Cherry. Lisa. Strawberry Shock. You know I have this on, right? Because I'm trying to not buy that Bloom lipstick. But this isn't that Bloom color. I'm looking at it now. This isn't it. It's not it. I was like, oh, I have something like that. Now I need to try out Rainbow Spill and see. So maybe I'll wear that in the next video. For liner, I'm using the Lisa Eldridge liner in Enchantment. Looks good with this. And what else? Chanel #1 foundation tint. My LYS concealer, Rare powder. And then I told you everything else. Let's talk about the drink today. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I got a juicer. And I juiced half of a watermelon, and this watermelon juice is going strong. So I said to myself, Cara, you're gonna make a watermelon margarita. And that's what I did. I mean, it's kind of makeshift. I don't have triple sec, because I think you put that in margaritas. So I've got some fresh watermelon juice, some lime juice, and some tequila. And that's the makings of a margarita. So that's what we're doing today. Cheers to whatever you're drinking or not drinking. I've actually am setting a new boundary on drinking during the week. It's just, I'm a little less productive. So, and it's messing up my sleep. So I am working on that. You know, there's something in my brain, this might be TMI, but you know, I'm transparent. I don't care, because I'm sure someone else out there is feeling the same way. There's something in my brain that when it's the evening, I want to have a drink, usually a glass of wine or something like that. I don't know what it is. I don't feel like that at work. I don't feel like that when I get up. Don't feel like that during the day. But once I'm done, like my major responsibilities, something says, oh yes, now let's just have a glass of wine, or when I'm cooking, things like that. But I realize that what I am probably searching for is some sort of relaxation. And what ends up happening is like my sleep gets messed up. So then the relaxation, it happens momentarily, but it's not a long-lived sense of relaxing. So now I am working on that. So I have been drinking these poppy sodas. They're like, what are they, prebiotic or probiotic sodas, and they're low calorie, low carb. So I may have one of those in the evening with one of my dried blood oranges. You know what I mean? Because I'm all about habit and routines. So it's just about me adopting a new routine and it not being wine. So I'm working on that. And it's just funny how the body works, but like that's how I feel at night. I'm like, I need to relax. And, you know, I'm looking for that relaxation. So I'm gonna try some different things. So I like my kombucha, I like my poppy sodas. I might try the lavender chamomile tea. That might be something that's very helpful. So anyway, let me know if you can relate, because I know I'm not by myself. But it is Saturday night right now, so I am having my margarita and I'm very happy with it. Anyway, that's not what you came for, but I'm hoping you got something out of that. So today we're talking about all of the palettes that I got in 2023, whether they were gifted or whether I purchased them. I do not have them ranked. We might be able to do that in a separate video, but not this one. I just want to talk about them. I want to have a little palette chat and see what we are thinking about 2023 thus far. I think this is good because if you are like me and you're a makeup enthusiast, sometimes we forget all that we have and we continue to look at the new makeup releases. And I will say this, I have thought several times, like, should I not be looking at new makeup releases? I know that when I've watched people who are on no buys or people who are trying to curb their spending, some of the things that they do is that they don't subscribe to Makeup on My Radar or Trend Mood or any of those makeup sites. I have come to the conclusion that that life is not for me, because I feel like I love the history of makeup. I love knowing what is coming out, when it's coming out, what came out then, what's out now. I love all of that. I think the bottom line for me is discipline. And that goes outside of makeup 100%. It goes into food, it goes into working out, it goes into every facet of my life. It's discipline. It's me not pulling my hair anymore. It's all about discipline, and discipline is not easy. It's doing what you need to do even when you don't want to do it, you know? So I want to be to the point.
I ate my food.
You ate your food? Did you have enough?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Did you clean up? Wait, whoa, my door. See, Marty made me lose my train of thought. But discipline is the bottom line, and I want to be able to look at new releases without going off the deep end. I want to be able to do that, and I'm getting there, and we are going to get there together. So had a little bit of a ramble session, but I hope you're doing well, and let's get into these palettes. I have neglected to add all of these palettes to my spreadsheet. I'm sure some of them are on there and some of them aren't, but I think it would be nice to come back with a follow-up video of how many palettes I am down to, how many palettes I've added this year, and possibly a ranking. I don't know. Ranking palettes is really tough for me because I feel like it could change the next day, but maybe we will do some type of follow-up. Let's just go ahead and get into the palettes and just kind of go down memory lane of 2023 thus far, because you know we're halfway through. So let's do it. Let's start with Minka. Now, I think Minka came out in 2022, but I did not use this palette until 2023. I did use it in January. We're not going in order because that would be really difficult. This is by Adept Cosmetics. And here is this beauty here. A lot of people really liked the Minka palette. A lot of people did. And I feel in the minority with this because these did not have my favorite shimmers. Honestly, I think only two, which are these two here, Linda and Selena, have those smooth shimmers that I really like from Adept. The rest of these are a bit thick. They're a bit chunky. I like the tones. When I saw the sneak peek of this palette, this is not what I was expecting to get. I was thinking it was going to be more of a rusty type palette story with shades like maybe these two. Hello. You are going to be the birthday boy, so hi.
Mama?
No, when they see you, it's going to be your birthday. So why don't you, how do you think you're going to feel? turning 8.
Good.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Tomorrow is my birthday.
And actually, when they see this, it will be your birthday.
When you see this, it will be my birthday.
All right. Thank you. Now, as far as the mattes, there's only 2. This one was cool. This purple here. This one wasn't my personal favorite choice. I think I would have preferred a brown. Something nice for the transition area, because I think a brown would have gone beautifully with all of the mattes here in Minka. The great thing about it is, you know, these are magnetic and I have no shortage of eyeshadow. Not my favorite palette from Adept, but still not mad to have it in my collection. Ooh, let's go to a new one that actually just came today. As I said, I'm not going in any order, but I will get a video up for this palette this week. Now this is Path of the Light Side by Notoriously Morbid. This was a pre-order from about a month ago, maybe a little more than that. Have not touched this or swatched this, literally just came today. And there are some palettes in here that I've not used, but I'm still gonna talk about them and give you my like projected thoughts on them. I think I'm gonna be happy with this palette. I kind of was a completionist with this one because I have Path of the Dark Side, and the Path of the Dark Side actually has square pans. This one has circle pans. You know, things like that do bother me sometimes, but I am really excited to try this one out. There's not a lot of beauty content on Notoriously Morbid, so I definitely wanted to purchase this for myself and for anyone who is looking for inspo with the Notoriously Morbid palettes. So let me know if you purchased this one and if yours arrived yet. Stay tuned because I'll definitely have a video up for this one, most likely this week. All right, next in my basket are 2 palettes from Odin's Eye, and this was another Legendary Diversa collection. And there were 3 this time, but I did purchase 2, and it did take a little effort for me to not purchase the other palette. We had the collab with Amanda, or Makeup Just for Fun is her name. And then Lauren Mae Beauty, my girl. And then there was Betty Jean, or Butte Bean. Now the Sea Talk palette was Lauren Mae's palette. Here it is. I actually liked this palette. I remember creating a look like with these 2 shades that I really liked. I kind of felt like these were great inner corners, and then you had these 2 quads on either side. That's how I use the palette. So you got brown, you got blue, and then you have these 2. I really loved hearing Lauren's explanation of the palette shades and why she chose the shades that she did. I did like the performance of this palette. And then we have the Flora Story palette, which I thought I was just gonna absolutely love, because look at it. Really, really beautiful. And I'm not saying I don't love it or like it or anything like that. What I noticed with this palette, and I don't think I noticed it so much in Lauren's palette, but this palette, the mattes were really, really powdery, and I'm just not sure why they were so powdery. It's not something that I've noticed from Odin's Eye, and I even went back and looked at Lauren's palette and some other Odin's Eye palettes that I had, and the matches were not as powdery, and I just didn't like that. I don't know why they were like that. But as far as the color story, I think this is really beautiful. I have to say, I need to work with these palettes more. I have so many palettes. That's why I'm like, I keep going back to the blends palette because that's the latest one that I've passed on. But the only palette that I can really see myself getting in the near future, I'm saying this and I'm going to try, is the next Mothership, because I really not owe these palettes, but I do. I owe these palettes and myself more time and more love, because it's the money that I've spent on these palettes. I'm not going to pan them, you know, I'm not going to finish them, but I want to get to really know them, you know, and it's hard when you have 200 something palettes, you know, and I do think I'm still in the 200 range for the amount of palettes I have. I think I ended up with like 230 something, and we'll see, you know, when I do an update how many I have now. So That's how I feel about those two palettes. I don't feel like, for whatever reason, this Legendary Diversa collection was as exciting as the first one, just because this was the second one. So it just wasn't as exciting. However, when I saw that Laura May Beauty had a palette, I was so excited because I really enjoy her content. I enjoy her fragrance content and her makeup content. So I was so happy about that. And of course, Makeup Just for Fun and Betty Jean, they all deserve the collab. We're gonna go into the Night from Glaminatrix. Now this is the second palette that I have from this brand. My first palette was the You Beauty palette, and that palette was okay, but that color story just didn't really mesh with me. It just wasn't my jam. I had no issues with the quality, and I think this palette is really beautiful. I think I did 2 or 3 looks with this one. I can remember one I did that was like kind of minty with these colors that I really liked. I actually liked all the looks that I did with this and would love to use this more. I just think this was a really cool color story. It was something different that I didn't have in my collection. So now one of the questions I do want to start asking myself, you know, for future purchases is, can I dupe this? Yeah, I probably can. Would I think to put these colors together though? Probably not. So happy to have this one, and let me know if you have Into the Night. I think it's beautiful. Okay, next let's talk about this one. This is the Lethal Wildflower palette. All right, now I did talk about this one in my May roundup. This is one that's beautiful. However, I think I could have passed on this one. I have really kind of fallen head over heels for Lethal naturally because this was kind of like a partner to Nightflower. I wanted Wildflower, you know? However, you know, looking at it now and even looking at it at the launch, I knew this was not a palette that I really needed to have in my collection. Are there any issues with it? None. No issues at all. These are definitely shades that I can take out and use in my BYOP series and things like that. But I also don't have a shortage of singles or palettes that are magnetic, you know. I do think this could have been a pass. Okay, next we have the Resurgence palette. Now this was gifted, and this was the collab from Unearthly Cosmetics and Heather Austin. Heather did message me and ask me could she send it, and I was really happy to receive it. I was really kind of surprised with this being a Heather Austin palette. And the reason that I say that is not because I think it's a bad palette or a color story. I think I was just thinking of the Adept palette, you know, the Heather Austin collab with Adept that I really, really love. Like that one was just so me, and the mattes that were in that palette, I was like, yes, green, brown, like she had some really great mattes in that. However, what I appreciate is that when she did come out with a collab with another brand, that she didn't do something that was similar to a previous collab. You know what I mean? Like, it's completely different. You wouldn't even know it was from the same person. So when she explained, you know, why she chose the colors that she did, I had so much more of an appreciation for the palette. She also talked about dividing it in half this way, so you have a 6-pan here and a 6-pan here, which really made it easier for me to create looks because I was a bit stumped on what looks to create with this palette. I will say performance wise, no issues with the palette. The looks that I created, I really did like, and I do feel like it took me a bit out of my comfort zone, which I really enjoyed. This was a bit of a surprise for me. I may have already said it, but I am really glad to have this one in my collection. I think it's just a really neat palette and a really kind of inspiring color story where it makes me think. If this was gonna be a palette where you're just gonna do like a little grab and go look, not this one. Like, you're gonna have to put some thought into the looks that you create, which that is what I'm looking for sometimes. All right, this is a more recent one here. We have Natasha Denona Yucca palette. I hate to say, no, I don't know. You know, I was gonna say, I hate to say that I think I could have passed on this one, and that's just because you're gonna see me talk about the Croc palette and the Nomad Okavango palette. I'm still not exactly upset about having another palette with this color story in my collection, and it might be because of how much I really do like Natasha Denona's mattes. Like they're really, really nice. And you know, when I talk about the Nomad palette, you'll see like this one is definitely more green leaning. I know people were saying this is neutral, but I don't know. It's neutral, but it's still leaning more green, leaning more warm. And I think you have a little more options with the Nomad palette. So we'll look at that in a little bit. But no issues like with performance on this palette at all. And what I really want to get into is doing some custom Natasha Denona palettes. So this is just adding to that for me, and I'm hoping to get to that soon. Some of these mattes like are gonna get some really good use, you know, for me. I love the little pukey shades. I think they look great. Let me know if you got the Yucca palette. Ooh, okay, speaking of clarity, but it's not the Croc palette. Grabbed the Wedding Party palette. Now, can't remember if this came out this year or last year, but I got this when they had a sale, and I always have my eye on it. Didn't do a video on this either, but I have used it. This is beautiful. It really is. And to me, this could be an everyday palette because I go for like kind of these nice transition, easy shades that can go with anything. You got a brown, you have a plum, and then the shimmers, y'all. Like clarity shimmers are beautiful. I also love that it is in a smaller pan format, which they are gonna do the Croc palette in the square pans in a smaller format, which is great. I really like this palette. Love this Forever Love, a copper shade. Beautiful palette, really beautiful. And I could see doing a bridal look with this, but also like bachelorette party. You know, you got some deep shades, green here. I love this little kind of like seafoam type green shade here. This is a really, really beautiful palette, really beautiful. Let me know if you got this palette or you want to see looks, because you know, sometimes I'm like, has the moment passed? Let me know. Like going through this, I'm like, I have gotten more palettes than I realized, and that's why this exercise is really important. This one was gifted. Gotta show you the Mothman by Notoriously Morbid. This might be one of my favorite Notoriously Morbid palettes. And I passed on this because they weren't doing PR at the time, and I was like, oh, I don't like this layout, blah, blah, blah. And then I was emailed like, hey, do you want this palette? And I'm like, yeah, I do, because I think the color story is great. And it really is. Sometimes with Notoriously Morbid, same with Adept, sometimes the mattes are not my mattes, but these are. So Mason Monster here, and then Booty Boy. These are great mattes, and I did pair this with a Viseart palette, and the looks were just great. These are great shades. I really wish that I could lay these out like so you could just see it in a more cohesive way, because this palette is very, very nice. I'm not sure if it's still available, but I am happy that I was gifted this because I wouldn't have gotten it, even though the Mothman is very cute. Now let's stay with Notoriously Morbid for a second. We have the Queen of Hearts palette. Now here's an example of a palette that doesn't have mattes that I really like. So like we have this one here and this one. Those aren't my mattes, you know what I mean? And then there's this really, really flaky shade here, which I didn't like. Now, as far as performance and everything, I feel like the performance was standard for Notoriously Morbid, but as far as how I like the palette, I felt like it was just okay. I can think of other palettes in this format that I really liked more, like the Boohoo palette, like Summertime Sadness. Queen of Hearts, I'm thinking more reds, pinks, maybe black even, like, because the Queen of Hearts, you know, she was like a villain. I always love the packaging. I think all of that is great. This was not my favorite palette from Notoriously Morbid, but I love Notoriously Morbid. We had the Mothman palette, then we have Queen of Hearts, then you have Path of the Light Side. Like, so many different vibes. I love seeing what the brand is going to come out with, and that always keeps me on my toes with them. Okay, let's go back to Natasha. I did repurchase the Natasha Denona Glam palette. I said I wasn't going to do that, but I did, because I started to really develop a love for cool tones. I did use this once since I've purchased it, Yeah, only once. Like, I didn't even use like a lot of shades, but I just threw it together a look, and I'm trying to think who it was. It was Martina Lily who convinced me to repurchase it. I mean, she didn't say to repurchase it. I just watched a video where she had just done a look, and I was like, ugh, that, like, those taupey browns are so nice. Like, they are so nice. But I think when I first used this palette, like, the video was great and I really liked it. But then after that, I wore it again and had a red lipstick, and I just felt like I didn't like that because, I don't know, me and red lipstick, sometimes it just depends on what I have on with it. I did not like it, and I just felt like it looked ashy. I don't know. But then I used it this year, and I'm like, okay, you know, I can do the cool tones. So happy to have this one. Now, my old Glam palette, I did dismantle it and put it with other things. I feel like some of the shades are in other Natasha Denona palettes. I have depotted them and put them probably in melt palettes and things like that, because you know my melt palettes, some of them need some work. So speaking of melt, a lot of their palettes, if not all, are on sale on Sephora. So I'm wondering what's going on with them. Like, even the new one, the Electrip, which I never ended up getting, but they also had Muerte come back, and then the rest of their site is 30% off. So if you're interested, I'm telling you, the Rust palette, y'all, that is Rust in 27, y'all. Nobody talks about them, but all right, we have a palette that I was gifted from Nomad Cosmetics, and this was the Verona Amore y Morte palette. It had this like fold out situation, Romeo and Juliet. And I know a lot of people wish that Nomad just came out with this palette separately, or you know, that you can buy them separately. When I did looks with this palette, I kept them separate. There was nothing in me that really wanted to mix the two sides. I do think this side is really unique, like really different. But I did like the reds on this side. Now, these were the hard pressed shimmers. So like, even when you swatch them, and I said I wasn't gonna do that in the video, like they're not really coming up. So, you know, that was something that I did have to work with. And I think there was an issue with some of the shimmers. I can't remember what it was, but like the shimmers were not my favorites because they're just not coming up easily. You know, you gotta finesse them a little bit. As far as the mattes, I mean, the mattes are always pretty much a hit for Nomad Cosmetics. I thought this was a very neat release for them, and Nomad has really stepped it up this year. We are going to talk about a couple more palettes that I received from them. Death side was the more interesting and inspiring side for me. And next we have the Seahorse palette from Adept Cosmetics. This was not a palette that I needed. I feel like, and I said it in the video, brands have to continue to make things. You know, they're a brand and they're going to continue to make things. But was it a palette that I needed in my collection with the indie singles that I have, with the Adept palettes that I have? Probably not. You know, do I have any issues with the quality or anything? No. I did talk about how I felt like these two blues were very similar. I did have someone say that one is more shiny and one is more dull, but as I said, my eyes can't see it. You know, I see two shades that are more similar than not. I love the consistency of these shimmers. They are not like the ones from the Minka palette. And there are a couple that do have the chunkier texture, but the Minka palette was like chunky and really thick. And I did not get that from this palette. Now, I still have yet to use this palette on my eyes. The most that I've done with this one is I've done some black base swatches. I do have a video of that. So you can just see how a black base does transform the shades. So for $113 in the breakdown, and you're in a way with more shades than others, are getting like 2 for 1, because some of them were really transformed by the black base and some of them weren't transformed as much. I mean, not mad about having this palette, but I do wish I had put a little more thought into purchasing it, or maybe waiting. When I had the opportunity to get it for 20% off, it just swayed me really fast. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get it. Like, it may not always be 20% off. And I've seen it come back, you know, for the 20% off. So, you know, it just goes to show that things always go on sale. And a lot of times when things are limited or get yours now while it's on sale, I don't know. I feel like it came back a few times where it was on sale for the 20% off. So that's just a learning lesson. Am I upset about it? No. You know, am I going to use it? Yes. So I'm not mad. I really like Adept. I really do. And this is another brand that I really like the concepts that other brand comes up with, you know, for their palette. Because, you know, some brands be coming out with anything. Like Hormageddon. Did y'all see that palette? Sorry, that wasn't nice. That wasn't nice. It wasn't nice, but that's just my initial reaction. I was just like, what is this? All right, this palette I have not opened. Okay, that was about to be a sad situation. This is from What's Up Beauty. I just got this because they sent me their new brushes, which if y'all don't know, them What's Up Beauty brushes, anytime you see me use a hot pink brush, those What's Up Beauty brushes are their business. They are natural hair. They are, I want to say they're made in Japan. They're great. They are so great. So they sent me the new brushes. I think there's 6. And then the geodes collection. They want to just do a whole video because they're sending me something else. So we'll try to do it all together. And maybe we can use this geodes palette. Now this palette's been out because I've seen videos on it. I know Heather Austin. Ooh, this is pretty. This is pretty. I think Heather Austin did a video on this. So this isn't a new palette, but look at this palette, y'all. This is nice. Okay, let me calm down. Look at that clay shade right there. I don't know much about What's Up Beauty and their eyeshadows at all, but this is gorgeous. So we're gonna have to do some looks with this. Look at that. I love shades like that. This is looking like a really nice palette. Well, stay tuned. I'll have a video with all the things that I've gotten from What's Up Beauty, and then do nail polishes too. So they sent me the polishes that went with this collection. Again, not a new collection. The great thing about What's Up Beauty is they don't put out a whole bunch of palettes and collections. I think this is their second palette. Let me know if you have this though. And I like it, it's small. I love that. We have Moonfall from Shroud. This might be one of my favorites, y'all. Oh my gosh. So beautiful. And honestly, if I did not see like the look that Dr. Ash did when we were together, I might not have understood, but I am glad I did not get their Peaches and Dreams. But this one right here, yeah. I mean, this beats is freaking bats for me, especially the shimmers. I had a hard time with my freaking bats palette, but this one, oh my gosh, so beautiful. I love the mattes. It's really nice palette. I don't know what else to say. This is short because I love this. This is a standout for 2023 for me, for sure. And I'll probably be talking about this in Best of Beauty at the end of the year. I'm almost positive I will. Okay, let's talk about Don't Be Jelly. Now, Don't Be Jelly was gifted Unearthly Cosmetics, and this is like a nice partner to the Don't Be Jelly multi-chrome or duochrome 9-pan. I really like this one. I did some great looks with this palette. Now, lately, you know, with Unearthly, some of their shimmers have been a little hard pressed for my liking. And I know some people were talking about hard pan, but I didn't have an issue with hard pan with this one. I really liked this palette. I loved what I came up with, and happy to have this one added into my collection. Really beautiful. Y'all, I can't. This palette, definitely a standout, y'all.
It's too early for you to do, so I'll wait.
Okay. This is another one. Probably be talking about this one in Best of Beauty. They are the ones that set off this color story. I'm sorry. And this one has a really cool vibe to it. Like these mattes right here, these are really unique in my collection. Like they really are. The shimmers are out of control. They are out of control. I don't know if this is in stock now or not. I think they're having 30% off. These are out of control. Mattes were matting, shimmers are shimming. Might have to put a little finesse with the mattes because they're pressed pigments, but it is worth it. It is worth it for the looks that you will get from this palette. I'm so sorry, but not really. Oh my God. All right, we got a little more to go, y'all. I'm so sorry. Let me try to speed this up. We have the Inspired palette from Adept. Y'all, yes. Hello, look at all these mattes. Beautiful. You only have one chunky shimmer, which I can live with because, you know, I like some texture. Everything else, smooth. Summery, tropical, just such a beautiful palette. Now, I like this one better than the Seahorse palette, I have to say. Look at that. That shade right here. Right here.
Mom, can I have a dessert?
Not yet, 8:30. This might be discontinued, so I hope that if you wanted this one, that you got a chance to get it. I think she was talking about bringing a palette back, and she was asking which one. Anyway, this was not disappointed with this. Really, really beautiful. All right, let's now talk about a palette that I created with Lethal, or not with Lethal, but on the Lethal palette designer, y'all. Still haven't come up with a name for this one, so let me know if you have any ideas. I still need to do a video. What can I say? Like, it's gorgeous. This is gorgeous. I love the idea of creating my own palettes. And I love that Lethal has that palette designer. Like, I'm surprised no other brands have tried to do that. Maybe they have. That is like the best thing since sliced bread, like to just do it even for fun. I gotta do a video on this. I gotta sit this out because I need to do this summer. I need a name for this palette. I think I treated myself to this around my birthday time. Or I might have said I was treating myself to it for my birthday, but just bought it. I can't remember. This one, might be talking about this in December. Now, out of all my Nomad palettes that I have, now let me think about my favorites. Haunted Europe, America's Parks. This is probably gonna be number one. This layout, it's the layout for me. It's the shimmers at the bottom for me that are all like these duochromes. It's using them along the columns for me. This was not what I was expecting from Nomad. The smooth shimmers, like I just was not expecting this. This is a layout for someone who may not be comfortable with using shades like this. Like, no girl, just go, or guy, just go down the column. You know what I'm saying? Like, just go down the column, you're gonna be good. You got a look. You got a transition, a smoke, and a shimmer. I love like this ornate cover. I need more shimmers like that from Nomad all the time. All right, let's talk about another Adept palette. Now I am including Ketracel White with eyeshadows. I think out of all the palettes I have this year, this is probably my least favorite, only because I talked about this in my roundup. You just have to be so careful if you want to use these separately. You want to use them all mixed up and get a green, that's fine. You want to use it all mixed up and get this, that's fine. But if you really want to take advantage of all the beautiful shades in here, you know, you got to use something slim, trim, and small. It's going to take you some time because you're not going to be getting a lot on it because you're using a slim brush. Do I love these cream highlighters? I do. Yes, I do. I do. But if they sold these separately, I'd probably just go with the cream highlighters and skip the others. Now, I'm not always in the mood for these types of highlighters, but sometimes I am. And when I am, these fit the bill, but these are not going to serve the purpose for me that I thought they were going to. So this could have been a pass or a sale purchase for me. All right, here's the other palette that I made with Lethal. I need a name for this one too. Oh, y'all, this shade right here, Dark Matter, stop it. Beautiful, like black to red shift. I need a name for this one. I wanted to call it Jungle something, but it's not. I love all of these like transition shades. I do. I love the three palettes that I have with Lethal. I really do. Those might be my favorites so far, but yes. Oh my gosh, I need to wear this tomorrow. Let me know what you think about this color story. All right, I did purchase this at VIB and haven't used it yet. Natasha Denona Mini Pastel. Why did I get this? No reason, just itching to buy something, but I'm gonna keep it. Honestly, what intrigued me about this one was that I feel like it has a little more depth than the pastel palette, which I did use this year with Circo Loco and came up with a great look. Really ethereal fairy, really beautiful. But these are gonna make make some like really cute one and dones. I'm gonna have to try this one out. Let me know if you have the mini pastel. I really think it's cute. Nomad Okavango, gorgeous. That's all I can say. They really put their foot in this release, from the soft, like, animal outside. This is gorgeous. I don't know. I really like this. And I for whatever reason, feel like the mattes are giving more variety than the Natasha Denona. Because you got like more browns, more of a range of browns. I don't know. I just feel like there's just more options there. You got the deep green, the deep brown. You have the bright green like the one in Natasha Denona. Then you have all these browns. The Natasha Denonas were leaning more pukey brown greens, where these are like brown browns. So you can just do some really just traditional, I don't want to say regular looks, but you know what I'm saying? Just everyday easy looks. I feel like the shimmers in this palette were pretty good. I don't know if they beat out the Natasha Denona ones, but like these, when I swatched them, they came up like, whereas in the Verona palette, they were just so hard. They were really hard pressed. These aren't like that. And then I always love the touches that the brand does with the embossing, you know, for whatever the destination is. I just thought this was a great palette from Nomad, and their mattes really do take the cake for me. So these last three I have not used yet. Apocalypse. You know, I wanted Apocalypse when it came out, and I was like, I won't wear this. And I waited and waited and waited, and it was still on my mind. It went out of stock. It came back, went out, came back. Came back, went on sale for like 30% off, and I was like, I'm getting it. I keep thinking about it. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this palette, but I'm gonna do something. I am going to do something with Apocalypse. This is just like, looking at it, it looks phenomenal. It really does, especially the shimmers. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Have no idea what I'm gonna do, but I'm doing something, and I cannot wait to use this palette. I have got to say it. Let me know if you have the Apocalypse palette. Like I said, I wish there were smaller pans, but I can't control that. Can I control it? No, I can't. So I'm not gonna worry about it. So let them theory. Let them make big pants, because this, I'm gonna buy it. And let's finish off with the Odin's Eye Geodes collection. Haven't even, I just took these out the wrapper yesterday. Let's start with Stone and Rock. This actually kind of reminds me of the one that I created from the Lethal palette, just a little bit. Y'all, come on, let me know if you purchased this one. I haven't had a chance, but when I use it, I want to use it. I want to use it and enjoy it. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, I got to get this up. You know, the moment has passed. Everyone already put their video up, and so many people had it in PR first. So then the excitement was gone. But the excitement is not gone for me, honey. Like, I cannot wait to use this palette. Like, just sit down at my own time and use this palette. So happy to have it. Not mad at all. And then we've got the Jewels and Gems. Now, the Jewels and Gems palette, I think this one's gonna be my favorite out of the two. You know what? Let me pull out these Lethal palettes really fast, because let me just see something. All right, so let me look. So we got Stone and Rock, and then my Lethal palette. Let's see. I'm not saying they're the same. They're not, but they're close. Like, take the packaging away. Am I reaching? Let me know if I'm reaching. I might be reaching. Now let's look at Jewels and Gems and the other Lethal palette. Let me know if I'm reaching, y'all. You could be like, it's a reach. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Listen. Okay, you know what? Might be a reach. You can let me know. Be honest. Let's be honest. All right, let me count these palettes up real quick, and then we're gonna close out this video. So that was 27 palettes. I probably wouldn't have thought that I had gotten 27 palettes so far this year. It is what it is. I mean, I didn't buy all of them, but there's a high chance I would have bought the ones that I was gifted. So it's just something to think about. I don't really have regrets though either, like, about a lot of the palettes. I really love palettes, but I am trying moving forward to reel it in. You know, I am looking forward to a mothership this year, but when I look at the palettes that I talked about today, I can't think of what else I would want, you know? And I'm like, I'm already seeing things for fall, and I'm like, okay, you know, we've seen these color stories. I really wish that I could just lay all my palettes out or have pictures of them so that like when I see things, I'm like, oh, you already have that. You already have that. Because it makes it really difficult. But I honestly feel like I've tried the best of the best when it comes to eyeshadow at this point. Like from indie to luxury, I have tried all of the brands. There's nothing that I can say that like I've not tried, you know? So now it's really time, and I said this probably a year ago, it's time for me to be the picky person, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to be so easily impressed. And I do feel like I'm leaning that way. But 27 palettes is a lot, you know, to be halfway through the year. And the crazy thing is that I think I was worse in 2022. I think I was worse in 2021. And I think I was worse in 2020. I think this is probably, and I can't say for sure because I wasn't, you know, being reflective and like, you know, really accounting for things. I think this is probably the best that I've done as far as acquiring palettes. So I have to say that, and I'm happy about that, and I want to continue to be better. So just wanted to go ahead and talk about these palettes. I know this is probably a long video, but I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what palettes you've purchased this year. Which ones of these did you get? Which ones of these did you pass on? And what are your predictions, you know, for the remainder of the year? I know that the fall releases are already being sneak peeked and summer just started. So I already see that happening. As I said, I'm looking forward to a mothership. I know like Huda Beauty usually puts out a palette. I do expect a lot more indie releases. I think for me, it's just I have to always understand that all of these brands, no matter what loyalty I feel to them, they are businesses and they are always trying to, you know, attract newcomers. So some of these palettes are not made for me. They're not made for me who was with them when like some of their best classic palettes came out that are gone. You know, they are coming up with new ideas to attract new people, you know, because our stands, the stands are going to be there. You know, I'm still a Pat McGrath. I'm not a stan, but I'm still there waiting. I'm waiting for the sequins. I'm waiting for the sequins for the mothership. I might be disappointed again, but I'm waiting. I am waiting. Like, we're always going to be there. They are trying to attract new people, and that's what a business does, you know, and so I'm not mad about it. What I need to think about, and I'm certain that my time is up because of this. So let me close out this video and we're going to get started. I mean, we're going to get off, okay? Thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me for another Mimosas and Makeup. Oh, here's Marky. I hope this was therapy for you. It always is for me. Thank you so much for all your help. And until I see you again, make sure you are being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice. Stay safe. I will see y'all in the next one.
Bye.
Bye. And happy birthday, August.
Thank you.
We love you. Everyone loves you.